You're listening to YouTube Talk Radio.
Some more from the global warming stack here, folks. Back in Tennessee on Tuesday, after Al Gore had the big night at the Academy Awards, back in Tennessee, Al Gore told a crowd of about 50 people at the U.S. Media Ethics Summit. 50 people attending a summit on ethics in the media. 50 people! He told them that the presentation's single most provocative slide was one that contrasts results of two long-term studies. His movie, slideshow. A 10-year University of California study found that essentially 0% of peer-reviewed scientific journal articles disagreed that global warming exists, whereas another study found 53% of mainstream newspaper articles disagreed with global warming premise. He noted that recently the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change released its fourth unanimous report calling on world leaders to take action. Here's what he said. He says, I believe that it is one of the principal reasons why political leaders around the world have not yet taken action. Well, there are many reasons. One of the principal reasons, in my view, is that more than half the mainstream media have rejected the scientific consensus implicitly. And I say rejected, that's maybe the wrong word. They have failed to report that it is the consensus and instead have chosen balance as bias. Al Gore is essentially saying that the drive-by media should stop reporting on any skepticism about global warming, that represents bias, that there is consensus now, and it's only a few stragglers who don't believe. And to report both sides is bias. This from one of the reputedly smartest guys in the world, reporting both sides of an issue is bias, according to Al Gore. What does this tell you? These are Stalinist tactics. He can't deal with the fact that there is opposition, and he doesn't want you knowing about it. And here's that dirty little word consensus again. I'm telling you, ask any legitimate scientist the simple question, is science based on consensus? And an honest, legitimate science will tell you no. Science is not up for a vote. That is all the power this movement has, the so-called consensus. You may have heard this reported a number of times in recent months, and I have this from National Geographic's website. Simultaneous warnings on Earth and Mars suggest that our planet's recent climate changes have a natural and not a human-induced cause, according to one scientist's controversial theory. One scientist, controversial theory is that the sun plays a major role. That is what's controversial in the global warming movement, that the sun, the only source of energy in our planet, the only source of heat, the only source of any energy, the sun, reporting that may be a factor in how warm or cold it is controversial. That's how out of whack this whole movement is. Earth currently experiencing rapid warming, supposedly, which the vast majority of climate scientists say is due to humans pumping huge amounts of pollution in the air. But Mars, too, appears to be enjoying more mild and balmy temperatures. Why, in 2005, data from NASA's Mars Global Surveyor and Odyssey missions revealed that the carbon dioxide ice caps near Mars's South Pole had been diminishing for 3 summers in a row. Here is global warming on Mars. Now, there aren't any humans there, but this would be a huge stretch, but I wouldn't be surprised if they blame it on the Global Surveyor. And if they blame it on these Odyssey, that we've put machines up there and are traveling around, going all over the Mars surface, and that's creating a bunch of pollution, that we, men and women on the Earth, scientists, NASA, we're the ones responsible for the warming on Mars. I'm really curious as to if I'm going to maintain sanity during the length of time this debate is going to be going on. This is so obviously one of the biggest scams to come from the left, and it's so typical of every other scam that they've run. For the LA Times today, a vast undersea wedge of gravel and grit holds the ice streams of West Antarctica in place like a doorstop, even as rising seas caused by global warming threaten to undermine them. Damn it! Why, these wedges of gravel and grit are not giving way. They ought to be giving way, damn it. The Antarctic ought to be disintegrating before our very eyes. But it's not. West Antarctica encompasses enough frozen fresh water, 7 million cubic miles, to raise sea levels worldwide 16 feet if its ice sheet disintegrates. Does anybody predict that Antarctica's west glaciers are going to disintegrate? For crying out loud, you people, it is time to get with the program here. This is getting ridiculous every day, more and more so. And the extremes to which these consensus builders are going to convince you is bordering on the sublime. In a sense, this new finding about the undersea wedge of gravel and grit is a measure of how much researchers have yet to learn about a remote continent of ice miles thick that is still responding to the end of the last ice age 10,000 years ago. Meaning they can't predict anything. Every time we look at the ice sheet, we find something new, said some guy. Understanding these mysteries will be necessary to predict the behavior of global warming. So now they got to figure out how to predict the behavior of the great ice sheet, which they can't figure out. Hang in there, Rush. We'll get better. We'll get better. Well,
here we have the trifecta. That trifecta of sleaze.